Hey Ranger Nation, welcome back to another video, and today I'm talking about the Super Sentai Power Rangers effect. Now, I don't know why I titled it, but let's jump straight into it. If you like this sort of content and you want to hear and see more, hit the like button, hit subscribe, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. And let's just talk about it. Recently, when I wrote this, I'd recently watched it, but quite a while ago, I watched the Kamen Rider and Super Sentai team up with Zenkaija and Kamen Rider Saber, and I do think there's quite a bit. There's another video which will probably come out much later on about how it ruined it for me. But for what this is, I think it was beautifully shot. The color grading was absolutely amazing. The sort of characters that were there, absolutely loved. Thought it was a fantastic film, and seeing the first Kamen Rider talk to the creator of all of this got me teary-eyed a bit because it was emotional, and I feel like they actually got everything like straight on, and I generally really loved it, and I loved every single kind of part of it. But I did kind of think about something when I was watching this. It made me really kind of think on how far Power Rangers has come, to the point where why can't they do something like this, or why isn't there anything going on mainly about it? And it felt to me like there was just nothing. Like, it feels like Power Rangers has never caught up to this, even though that they share the same footage, they share the same idea. But why isn't Power Rangers up to this part just yet? It just kind of makes me think, I mean, like, when you look at it in America wise, there isn't anything that goes against like Power Rangers whatsoever. In Japan, you have Kamen Rider, which could be easily say like, that's the only thing that rivals Super Sentai that I kind of know in Japan, or maybe some other tokusatsu projects. But mainly at the time of this recording that I know of, I feel like in Japan, you've only got Super Sentai and Kamen Rider going against each other. So you kind of think that America, or at least like the American side, could easily produce something that's different rather than just kind of not do anything. I mean, the only competitor you could really say is Marvel or DC, but Power Rangers compared to them is nowhere in those leagues. So why isn't there something more? Why isn't there kind of like a rivalry between it? Is it just literally Power Rangers is the only thing that can exist in America type thing? So what is it? What is effectively there? I mean, it shouldn't be really that hard to actually make a show that could rival it or be #1 in America type thing, or around the world. But I feel like there is parts to this that need to be kind of explained. I feel like there is a few concoctions going on, whether it being embarrassment, greed, not knowing what networks to go on, or anything like that. So I'm going to kind of break them down into what I kind of think is the main thing. So first of all, the element of greed. I feel that Saban and Disney were kind of greedy all the way through. Saban in the early days, we know that he was making millions off the Power Ranger brand because it hadn't been done before. This was brand new. But then all of a sudden he wasn't paying the actors right. He was paying them very little. It wasn't a union show, to the part where after a while, like, you had Austin, Walter, and Tree just kind of go, hey, we're gonna leave. And I feel like that was one thing that I felt was a big thing. Like, they easily could have turned around and paid them more for their actions and said, hey, you need more money, we will give you the going rate. Because if you were making so much money over time, why couldn't you really kind of give more to it? Like, give more to the actors, the crew, everything, because they're making you your money. You're making millions and millions of toy sales, off the rights. Power Rangers back then in '93 and all that was the biggest thing around. So of course, like, you're gonna get more money. It's just, I just don't know why. Effectively, it fell down to, why would you want to spend $100 when you could spend $25? And I get the whole fact that you want to cut costs at some point, but it felt like with Power Rangers in general, like, at least the main people that are going to be working on your show, you would want to pay, because they're the ones that are bringing in your money from all the toy sales. Yes, you could have the Red Ranger, but Jason was the Red Ranger, Trini was the Yellow Ranger, Zach was the Black Ranger. So why would you could just either hide them completely, or never use their likeness. And I feel like at this point in time, like Saban didn't really kind of care. And I think Disney, in some sort of way, they had a better direction, but I think that it wasn't making enough money for them, and they kind of wanted to get rid of it. And you could tell through all the seasons when they just didn't care, or when they thought, well, this is an embarrassment. Now, I will say this, I love Power Rangers, I'm not bashing it. You know, I don't think Super Sentai is superior or anything like that. I'm just frustrated from what I see and how things have gone over the franchise, which I feel like could have been addressed quite quickly rather than just kind of like meh. I mean, when you look at the success rate of, say, Super Sentai and stuff like that, you know, from how they manage their sort of stuff, you kind of see that they do a lot more than just say what Power Rangers. Super Sentai stands out. It's something a lot different than what we know of, and you know, people enjoy it to some degree, but when you look at Power Rangers, I think sometimes Power Rangers just flops, where it has a good motif, it has a good intention, but sometimes it doesn't deliver. Now, I love Dino Fury. I think it's possibly one of the better ones. I enjoyed Beast Morphers, but when I look back at seasons from when Saban brought it back, that's the word. When he bought it back, I feel like he just didn't care, and it was just like, well, I'm going to get money regardless. People are still going to buy these products, and I think Bandai were just like, oh, we don't care, we always make these sorts of products. But yet, when you look at Japan and the way that they make their stuff, it's always a lot better. Well, considering Bandai of a premium Bandai in Japan, we're going to talk to that in another video. But I feel like they do make a better product because they know exactly how much money this is going to make and what kind of comes in. I feel like Disney went in the right step with their storytelling. And when you look back at other seasons like Saban, Disney, Neo Saban, as well as Hasbro, you can definitely tell that there is a lot more in their storytelling. And that is the better thing for me, because I generally kind of thought, you know what, I like this. I like the storytelling of what we've got, how the stories are, how they intermixed with everyone. I think like the biggest crossovers you had was in Dino Thunder with SPD and then that sort of stuff in Ninja Storm. I feel like these were the main big ones, and Disney knew exactly how to tell a story. But I feel like sometimes maybe their marketing side was a bit shit, and they're like, we don't know what to do really. You know, I don't see any kind of advertisement anymore for Power Rangers like I saw in the Disney era. I think the main thing is when you look at it, there's more passion in the storytelling than you would do like kind of everything else. And I feel like that's what kind of drove the Disney era, because we don't give it enough credit for what it is. People at times really do complain about the Disney era, and I think it's because, you know, it's not their favorite seasons. Like you've got Overdrive, Mystic Force, SPD. But I felt like when looking at these sorts of shows, they were closer to the Sentai than we'd get anything else. Like Saban, when he was in charge for the first time, yeah, we got some really good seasons. If you're, let me know your favorite season down below. But I feel like after he bought it back, he just didn't care about it, and it didn't kind of resemble too much. Or if it did, people complained. Like Samurai was pretty much, I think, from what they were saying, like a carbon clone of Shinkenger. Say that 10 times fast, but with Shinkenger, and then everyone complained because it wasn't different. And I feel like that was a thing where whatever you did, you couldn't do it properly, or it just fell flop and it didn't work. Now, I know the Japanese market is completely different to where their kind of broadcasting standards are compared to the UK as well as like America, so I understand that. I do, when, you know, they don't look at it and go, is this for kids, what the fuck. I feel like they treat the younger audience a lot better when it comes to these sorts of shows, where it's not the kind of like, hey, we've got to teach you a lesson at the end of the day. When you look at, like, say, Zenkaija, or you look at Dom Brothers, or you look at Gokaija, like Deca Ranger, whatever, I feel like their message is in the show already, and they don't need to do anything because they know that they're making a good product all the way through. But with America, at least, you have to have that story of the day. Hey, I'm sorry that I did this to you. I didn't mean it. Let's be friends again. And you kind of like, I can understand that. And especially since the rulebook for, Saban and stuff like that, which I thought, yeah, it just, I think it didn't work. I think to the point where Hasbro bought the brand and stuff like that, Power Rangers wasn't respected that much. And I can understand why, considering how we've had the show from Nickelodeon as well as like from Saban. I feel like the show isn't respected, and it still has that kind of meh. If you kind of followed and jumped in at any point throughout the Neo Saban and stuff like that, I feel like it is to the point where you're like, this show isn't great. So I can understand that there is going to be no one's going to care about it. You mention one series and then people jump on you if it's good or bad, or they have to give their views. And I feel like an audience member who doesn't know about Power Rangers looks back, they instantly go, yeah, this is pretty much what I see from the 90s. And they haven't given it a chance because they've probably moved on or gone, oh, I'm going to quickly catch up. Oh, let me go back to what I'm watching, which is Mighty Morphing, and go down that road, where Japan at least turns around and goes, hey, we do look at the past seasons, but we don't kind of focus on this. We literally have it brand new. We move on. As soon as that series is done, not unless you're coming back in a crossover or being used on set with, you know, the suits and stuff like that. I feel like you just don't see them anymore. And that kind of irritates me a little bit. Not the Super Sentai, but the fact is that Power Rangers at the moment, or at that time, didn't really have any sort of respect, and I think that's kind of sad. I feel like this is partly Saban's fault because he wasn't willing to put the time and effort or money into this major project, where if he had at the very beginning, or even when he bought the brand back, I think that would have been a huge thing for him, because I think it would have worked 10 times better, make the product stand out. And especially since there was no superhero genre back in the 90s, or that until, like, say, after Iron Man, so looking around about 10 years ago, probably more by the time of this recording. But I feel like you could have made it better, but Saban wasn't willing to put the money into it. You know, you could easily, I mean, he could easily have thrown in a couple million to make it a bit more, like, better, because the investment, or look at how Bandai of America were treating the toys. I feel like the Bandai of America toys were really bad because they weren't accurate, or they were missing paint. And I hated that, because, you know, if you want your brand to be successful, then put money behind it so people go, do you know what, I like it. I mean, even with, this is off topic, but even with, like, say, the Legacy line that they brought out with the Rangers, everything was like, the guys were dead muscular when they weren't, and the girls have got big boobs and stuff like that, and like tiny waists. And I feel like that was the old sort of style of like how toys were made back in the day. So why wouldn't you kind of make it accurate? When you look at the Lightning collection, dear God, it's 10 times better, and it's more kind of a better product to some degree. We're going to be talking about that much later as well. But I feel like that was the better one to kind of go for. For now, I feel like there's so much that the show needs to actually make it a lot better. The main thing right now is, will Power Rangers have the same treatment as Super Sentai, where it's not treated like a joke, where it's not like this, it's not like that. And I do kind of feel that when it comes to the next season of whatever it is it Zooja, is it a completely random new one, I feel like we will see if it can be taken seriously and not just the generic, oh, it's a kid show. Fuck that, it's a kid show. So I kind of really want the next era to take place, and I feel like now, after Dino Fury finishes, we will get that, and we will get the next stage for whatever it is. But either way, I'm quite happy where Dino Fury is going. I want more from it. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you feel like Power Rangers should at least have like the main kind of premise of Super Sentai when it comes to filming, where they don't rely on the kids stuff, they don't rely on the comedy, they don't rely on stuff that has made the show bad, and that they still film their own original stuff, but it's more treated with respect? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you like this sort of content and you want to hear or see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. And if I don't see you tomorrow, then I will see you in a couple of days.
チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができます。